Hello, and welcome to Fresh Fusion, a weekly show where we discuss the business, the art, the ethics of content creation on the open web. My name is Jared White, and this episode is titled Retreat, How Getting Away is the Way to Go. Yes, we are going to talk about retreat, but not retreating in the negative sense, but retreating in the positive sense. Yes, there is a positive sense of retreating. It's called going on a retreat. I don't know why I'm describing this like I'm in a classroom. Trust me, it's going to be good. But first, before we get to that, I have a Mac Mini M1 on the way, which I'm very excited about. And I intend to put it through its paces to see how this product works in the context of content creation and also programming. But if you're not a programmer, you don't have to worry about that part. Yeah, I'm just really curious, what is working, what is not yet working. So many people have been trying these out now and reporting back either wildly fantastic results or mixed results. So I'm really curious to try it out for myself. I don't really need a Mac Mini, but I convinced myself that I do. And the way that I convinced myself is that I've been paying nearly $100 a month for hosting a bunch of services online. I had my own file storage system I was hosting with Nextcloud. I was also using that for calendars, some other side projects of different web apps and things. All props to DigitalOcean. They're a great host. But I did have a bunch of stuff hosted at DigitalOcean, and I was paying almost $100 a month. And I started realizing, wait a minute. If I upgrade my internet connection here, because I have fiber, but I was on the cheaper plan that capped at 100 megabits a second. If I upgrade that for only a little bit to get closer to 1 gigabits per second, a very fast connection with very fast upload speeds. If I get that internet connection upgrade and then purchase a Mac Mini, over time I'll end up saving money because instead of paying $100 a month, I'll only pay, say, $15 a month for the upgraded internet, and I won't have to pay for the Mac Mini at all, because eventually it'll get paid for. So once it's paid for, I'll be saving money. So I'm actually purchasing a computer to save money. Yes, that's the logic I use to justify purchasing this new computer. And the reason I got a Mac Mini is because, it's what you get if you need a server. And that's essentially what I'll be using it as a server. Before I sort of nestled into its server location, I'm going to try to do some creatory things with it and see how that goes. So stay tuned for that. It should be arriving tomorrow, actually. So maybe I'll talk about it a bit in the next episode. All right, before we get on to today's main topic, I wanted to highlight my fresh pick of the week. It is Mari Dangerfield. She is a musician and songwriter in the UK, actually in London, I believe. And I found her just yesterday because she posted an incredible video. It's a cover of The Telephone Call. Is that right? The Telephone Call, yeah. By Kraftwerk. So it's a cover of Kraftwerk's song, The Telephone Call. And it's great. It's everything you would expect to see in a good cover of a Kraftwerk song. The quirkiness, the sort of deadpan delivery, a little bit eccentric, very fun, very creative. It was just, it was a great video. I love her voice. I love the sounds of the song, very Kraftwerk-esque. Everything about it is wonderful. I often don't like covers because rarely are they as good as the original. Like, I listen to a cover or I even listen to a remix and I think to myself, why am I listening to this? It's not even as good as the original. So what's the point? But every once in a while you hear a cover or you see a video on YouTube, cover of a song, and you're like, wow, this is really good. Like, it stands on its own as a good piece of art. And the fact that it's a cover is sort of immaterial. So I felt that way about this. This is great. If it's a song she'd written herself, it would have been great. If it's a cover of Kraftwerk, fine. It's still great. So anyway, that's my fresh pick and my fresh creator of the week. If you have any suggestions for either of those, use the hashtag #FreshPick or #FreshCreator, and we may feature that recommendation on a future episode of Fresh Fusion. All right, folks. Now on to our Fresh Insights segment, retreat. So I went on a retreat back in September. I found myself with a free weekend, and it was also during this terrible fire smoke thing that was going on in Portland. You may remember the West Coast. If you literally looked at like satellite maps of planet Earth, almost the entire West Coast, from California all the way up to Seattle and even into British Columbia, Canada, it was just smoke everywhere. The air quality was atrocious. And after being, holed up in my apartment for a couple days with just, you look outside and it looks like the apocalypse. I mean, we're already dealing with a pandemic, and then you look outside and everything's orange and there's no visibility, and you're like, what the hell's going on? So it was really tough, but I was thinking, I have some free time. I know I have a lot of work to do to come up with some new branding ideas and some new business plan ideas for my business. If I'm going to be stuck inside trying to do something creative, I might as well go somewhere fun and be stuck inside doing something creative. So in the middle of a pandemic, in the middle of orange, apocalyptic, smoke-filled skies, I booked a couple nights at a local Airbnb. So it was still in Portland, another area of Portland. So I went there. It was this nice little sort of loft cottage room, completely private. So I went there and holed up in this cottage room for 2 days. And that's where Fresh Fusion was born. Yes, actually, out of all of the ideas, all of the branding ideas, all of the business plan ideas that I worked on during that time, one of those ideas was to reboot my podcast and change it from The Jared White Show to Fresh Fusion. So here we are. This show is a direct result of that retreat. Now, I just came back from a second retreat. This past weekend, I yet again booked a room, this time at a hotel nearby. Up on the 5th floor, in my room, very private, very safe. Better weather now, thankfully. I mean, it's kind of cold and rainy because that's the time we're in, but, it is the season. But it was very nice. It was a great room, and, I got to go outside and walk around a little bit and grab some takeout. But yeah, basically just holed up in the room all weekend, working yet again on business stuff, primarily to build out a new site for my business. So that's still ongoing. It's not done yet, but I got a lot of work done. And that's kind of the point I'm trying to make here, which is, as content creators, there's really two modes that we're in. One mode at any given time. The first mode is kind of going through the motions, going through your routine, write that next blog post, put out that next podcast episode, record that next vlog episode, post it on YouTube, write another chapter of your book, fix some bugs in your open source software. I mean, you get the point. Tinker some more on your hot rod, whatever it is you're doing. Like, there's the thing where you know what to do, you know how to do it. It's something you do all the time. And, it's just, here's another day of doing it. So that's the first mode. The second mode is completely different. It's blue sky thinking. It's green field. It's, 20,000 foot level. It's this sort of, realm of thought where you're creating something out of nothing, essentially, ex nihilo. You're going from zero, you're going from blank slate to some wonderful new idea about how to start something or how to reboot something or whatever it is. And it's those times when it's very difficult to get into that frame of mind when you're in your normal space. When you're in your normal creative space, your home office, your kitchen, your, wherever it is, your garage, when you're in your normal space where you do normal everyday things, your body is conditioned to do those normal things that you do there. It's habitual. It's instinctive. I sit down here in my chair in my home office and I stare at my computer screen, and it tells my brain to do the things that I always do when I sit down here in my chair and look at my computer screen. It's just like I automatically know what to do. I automatically know how to use the tools in front of me. That kind of space, that kind of procedure doesn't lend itself well at all to this pie in the sky, reboot everything, come up with fresh new ideas. You really have to get away. And you read this. There's a lot of self-helpy kind of, creative endeavor, business leader, thought leader books out there that say things like this. But my beef with that has often been that they make a really big deal out of it to the point that it's ridiculous. Like I remember reading a book once where the guy was talking about, needing to get away to get work done because when he's at the office, he has so many demands because he's the CEO. So he'll book a plane trip and he'll be up in the air for 5 hours working on his manuscript of whatever, and then he'll go to the hotel room and you hear this whole elaborate thing, and you're like, okay, well, that's great for you, dude. You have $1,000 to blow on a weekend to go on some huge trip to think clearly now. What about the rest of us? But it turns out you don't need to do any of that. You don't need to spend $1,000 on a weekend retreat to go do anything fancy. You can literally, I mean, if you wanted to, I don't necessarily recommend it, but if you wanted to, you could get a night at Motel 6. You can spend like under $100 essentially, and go get a little time away somewhere else. And a good phrase I once picked up from another author: change of place plus change of pace equals change of perspective. So different pace, different place, you get a different perspective. And that's really true. That's really how it pans out. So. So I booked, in this case, a couple nights. I think 2 nights is better than 1 if you can swing it, if you can afford it. I think getting away somewhere, whether it's a hotel room, whether it's an Airbnb, whether it's a friend's, spare room, all social distancing concerns, here, I fully recognize those. But, if, however you can swing it, get away from where you are right now in your normal life. And go on a retreat. And 2 nights is better than 1 if you can swing it. I think if you just do an overnight, by the time you really find your groove, you have to leave. I think 2 nights is sort of a minimum. So if you can swing it, book a couple nights, stay safely with a friend, whatever you need to do, and then have a very clear goal going into it. Like this last retreat, I had a very clear goal. I am coming into this retreat, and I am leaving this retreat with a new website, because that's the hardest thing for me, which seems ironic. As a creator of websites, working on my own business website is so hard. And I don't know why it's so hard. It's like the old saying, the children of the cobbler have no shoes. Somehow working on my own website for my business is so much harder than working on websites for other folks. I still don't quite understand the psychology there. But anyway, I went into my retreat this last time. I'm going to go into this retreat, and I am not leaving that hotel room until I have a new website for my business. It's not going to happen. I am not leaving until I have a website. That's the goal. That's what's going to happen. And that is what happened. I do have a website. It's not done yet. I'm still working on it. I still have more to do, but all the bones are there. The basic design is there. The thinking behind it, the script, the sort of marketing script on the homepage, it's all there. So I was successful. I was successful in my endeavor on this retreat. And this was the second time of being successful, because the first retreat, my thinking was, I'm not leaving this retreat until I have a fully fleshed out business plan. I know where my business is going, and I have a clear idea of a content creation strategy going forward. And the podcast was one of the things I'd been struggling with, what to do with my podcast. So that's why this show exists now, Fresh Fusion, is that it was a direct result of going on that retreat with a clear goal and accomplishing that goal. So all that to say, if you're struggling with coming up with new ideas, if you need a fresh perspective, if you already have content creation strategy in place, but it needs it kind of needs a tune-up. If you need new ideas for a brand new script for a movie or a new novel, or whatever it is that you're kind of struggling with getting your head wrapped around it, whatever it is, I really suggest going on a retreat, like honest to goodness retreat, not just take a walk over to a park for an hour or clean out a spare room in your house and setting up a desk there. I mean, you can, but I really think you need to get away somewhere else, completely out of your normal comfort zone. And that's a signal to your brain that something new and exciting is happening. You're in a new place, it's unfamiliar, it smells different, feels different, it looks different, different people around, hopefully not too close around in these times we're in, but you know what I mean. Even just the act of, standing 10 feet away from the clerk who's checking you into the hotel room, just being there, talking to somebody different, being somewhere different. It tells your brain that it's all new. It's all new. It's all different. It's all unfamiliar. And that's the mindset you need to be in as a creator. You need to be in a place that's new, that's different, that's unfamiliar, that's exciting, perhaps even slightly dangerous in some way, because that's what the ideas are. The ideas need to be new. The ideas need to be different. The ideas need to be fresh and exciting and maybe even slightly dangerous. You need the quality of your ideas to match the quality of your surroundings. And that's why it's so important to go on a retreat. So I've done this twice just in the last few months. And it's been so incredibly rewarding that I think going forward, at least once every quarter, hopefully, as it gets easier and safer to travel and get out and about, I'm actually thinking about doing it every single month, going on a 1 to 2 night retreat every single month, with the sole purpose of just, reevaluating my business, reevaluating my content strategy. And because it's been incredible. I have literally months of solid work to do just to execute on the ideas that come out of 1 or 2 days of thought, which is awesome. You basically think for a day or two, and what that thinking produces gives you months of action on your strategy, in your content creation strategy, in your business, whatever it is, which is fantastic. It's really awesome. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this topic. I realize I'm sort of repeating myself at this point, but it's just been really great because I feel like things that I struggled with for months, if not years, I was able to resolve just on a weekend retreat. And it's so nice to have that feeling of I don't have to have those swirling bubbles of, I still don't know what to do with whatever. It's so nice to have that just be gone. So if you have anything like that, if you've been struggling with coming up with a solution to a creative problem, if this is something you've been struggling with in some area for a really long time, I think this concept of going on a retreat to just solve that problem is really powerful. All right. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you got something out of it. As always, you can go to my website, jaredwhite.com, to listen to this and other podcasts. I also post the video versions of these podcast episodes up on both YouTube and Vimeo, and all the links are there on the website. Also, please follow me on Twitter @JaredCWhite. And please post a review of the show if you enjoyed it on your podcast directory of choice, at least Apple Podcasts. That really helps us out. All right. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.